Thanks for joining us, everybody. It is 7:15, so I'm going to call the October 25th, 2023 meeting of the Westborough Public Library Board of Trustees to order. We have changed our agenda a little bit, so I'm going to start with our director's report. And since Maureen isn't here, I'm going to turn it over to the wonderful Lynn to give us her report.
Okay, so Maureen was very sad she wasn't able to be here, but she wanted to pass on our September statistics. Our circulation remains pretty much where we were last year at this time. Our busiest hour is on Saturday from 12 to 1, 572 circs. And this past month we had 2,400 requests for holds to pick up here at the library. We participated in Banned Books Week, which was the first week of October. We did a community-wide read-in on Wednesday nights. It was a small but a really great turnout of really great people. Children's programs are ticking up. Bernadette always has a full room of kids, both in her baby story times and her toddler rhyme times. We also have our part-time employee, Michelle Kick. She does a great story time on Tuesday nights and also on Saturday mornings. And I don't know if you saw on our Instagram, but we had, during Fire Prevention Week, we did a special story time at the fire department, and we had about 25 kids participate, and it was a really great showing. The teens are busy working on the haunted house, which is this weekend from 6 to 9. The theme is spooky fairy tales, twisted fairy tales, and it's a totally teen developed and run event with a few chaperones. And it's not for little kids. So we want middle school age and up is probably what it's best for. For the adult programming, I don't know if any of you attended the Crime, Murder, and Mayhem, but it was, again, fabulous tour around town, a lot of great history and trivia. Tracy also had a mind reader program, holiday cards, and we're back doing our mindfulness meditation series on Zoom as a weekly program. The teenagers, upcoming, we have the showing of Screenagers, and we're going to hold a coffee and conversation on November 1st after showing of the movie. We have trivia coming up on the 2nd, and Kindness Week is the first full week of November, and we'll be actively participating starting with the kickoff on the 4th. Well, on the 5th, we'll be at the high school with our mobile library. And we have a classical music concert at the Forbes Great Hall on November 9th at 7 p.m. We're also doing our college search program for juniors and seniors on the 15th. And Tracy is running a program called Adequate Arts. It's crafting for the rest of us, which I'm looking forward to. And the Friends will be holding their last book sale of the year on the 18th and 19th of November. Because, as you know, the meeting room will become the holiday store. We'll be working with the Rotary Club and Youth and Family Services in December to make that a really special place for Westborough families. And I think that is about it. I did want to mention, I know Maureen sent out information that Caitlin is working on. The state legislature is having hearings on Monday, October 30th, regarding bills that are related to censorship and access to digital materials. MLA's Intellectual Freedom Committee has asked us to submit testimony for the hearings in response to book challenges and harassment that our staff has experienced. Caitlin is going to be writing up testimony and collecting narratives from staff who have experienced some negative things, and we'll prepare that to submit. And so they're also looking for submissions from members of trustees or the community who have anything to add about the importance of the freedom to read and the protection of libraries and staff. And if you want to help, you can please contact Caitlin. She's going to be coordinating it. and they will accept written testimony for about 2 weeks after the hearing, so it's something that you have time to prepare.
So this is definitely a piece of advocacy that we talk about as our role as trustees, is to advocate for the library, and this is a great opportunity for us to each submit something on their behalf. Great. Thank you so much. Next up on our agenda, we have the building repair project. October town meeting recap. For our article, that was the building maintenance system upgrade, and that passed, so yay. We will have a much more secure and accessible heating system coming soon, so that'll be underway shortly. And Bob Petroselli, the vice chair of the building committee, did a fabulous job giving an update on the repair project work that the library building committee is doing. So I will ask Ed to give us our latest update on what the library building committee has been recommending.
So the building committee has been considering 4 scenarios. Are you all familiar with those? I'm seeing nods, okay. So in addition to, as part of that, a group of LBC members met with the building inspector to talk about, to clarify requirements for compliance with the stretch energy code, which is in effect now. And based on that discussion, options 1 and 2 would probably not require full compliance. Options 2A and 3 probably would require full compliance, and they would also get us there. So full compliance would be pretty expensive, I believe. It looks like we're not going to need to do it given the relatively limited set of repairs. The building committee also discussed the impact of Westborough's decision to purchase the community center. And the summary of the results, we feel that it's not a good candidate for, some residents have suggested relocating the entire library to that building. And we feel that's not a good idea. There wouldn't be enough space, and it wouldn't be in the beautiful historic building. And if we moved, what would we do with the beautiful historic building? So it would also not be a good candidate for a satellite library because it's within walking distance of here. There's no sense in having 2 libraries that close together. Things that would potentially be useful for us. One is it may be an option for temporary space for the library during the renovations, rather than renting space and maybe homework some new space there. Also, it was likely to take on some functions that might otherwise need to be done at the library, in particular meeting rooms, so that may relieve pressure on the library to have a bunch of meeting rooms, so we can use that for other kinds of programming. There are still clearly a lot of open questions about how that's going to work, and the building committee will be working with other town organizations to resolve those in the course of time. So, with that said, then we had the 4 options. Of the 4 options, we very quickly ruled out option 2A and option 3, which are the 2 expensive ones. They ran about $27 million to $31 million. And then there was some discussion about options 1, sort of minimal, and 2, which is, if you want to say minimal, it would be fixing things, but mostly short-term fixes, minimal changes for programming and so on. And option 2 is longer-term repair, replacement, rather than shorter-term fixes. And after the discussion, several committee members felt that doing short-term repairs for a building we hope to be using for decades is just a bad idea. And several committee members felt that we should not stick with the minimal, that is the current heating, ventilation, and air conditioning HVAC system. So what we, the building committee, directed the architect to do was detail out scenario 1, which is the minimum, but with full replacement for the 1908 building roof and the 1980 building roof, rather than patchwork and repair. Ray pointed out that the rubber roof over the 1980 building is 50 years old and it has a design life of about 20 years. So,
It's tough.
and also we directed the architect to do the hybrid gas electric HVAC system rather than the staying with the existing all gas system. So we're making a motion in the direction of sustainability, although we're not going to reach the full stretch code by the large margin. Any questions or comments on that?
I want to make sure I understand. So it was to, what was the recommendation for roof?
We're going to replace the roofs rather than repair them.
All the roof?
Yeah, 1908, this building and also the newer part of the building.
Okay. And so not patching anything, which was scenario one.
Right.
But
Let's
scenario one was
replace all of
patching.
it.
Yeah, but replace the whole thing.
Okay, and how long is that expected to last then?
The slate roof will be a long time. If we do slate, it'll be another century.
Okay.
The rubber membrane is going to be 20 or 30 years, I believe.
Okay.
And those are my understanding, not the architect's guarantee. So,
Okay. And the repair, how long would that last?
you would probably need to do, again, this is my opinion, you need to do ongoing repairs in the slate roof as new things, new 100-year-old tiles break and fall off and things. The rubber membrane on the 1980 roof, maybe 5 years.
Okay.
Again, probably not a catastrophic failure, but just constantly going back out there and patching, putting another Band-Aid over the Band-Aid.
Okay.
That's a very apt metaphor for the 1980 roof.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the HVAC, if we were just to repair, well, if we were not to do the new system.
If we were not to do the new system, the current system, I guess, has 5 or 10 years of life to it. We have to replace what's called the fan club units. That's the thing. There are, I believe, 10 of them, and that's the thing that caught fire back in December.
Right.
So
Which
those,
was a problem.
those have to go. But right now it's a gas burner. I believe it heats up water and sends water out to the fan coil units, and the fan coil units blow air through the hot water and heat up the building. So this would be part gas and part heat exchangers to do that, which would be, I don't have numbers on this, but it would be more energy efficient.
Okay.
So the next steps will be that the architect will come back with a cost estimate for that at the same level of detail that they had for the scenarios 1, 2, 2A, and 3. We're calling what we were directed them to do scenario 1A.
Right. And do we know how long the new system will last?
That's going to be 20 years or so. That's
Okay.
pretty standard for. Again, this is my belief.
Right. Okay.
When they price something out and get quotes from the manufacturers, they'll have warranties and all that kind of thing.
Okay, so it would include warranties, which is huge.
Oh yeah,
for
we're not
us.
going to buy a new system. without
Thank
a
God.
warranty.
And if we're, because my concern is, and I watched all the meetings. I had COVID, I had lots of time to watch lots of things.
So you picked the most exciting ones.
My concern, I'm worried about the cost and about people voting for this. And I'm concerned about with the new community center that people wanting to pay for lots of things, lots of projects in town. And that and I think these things need to be done, but if we ask for too much, they'll end up with nothing. So if are there other things that are being taken out, or that we can look to take out?
So from scenario 1, there really isn't. That's like everything we need to do to keep this building open. And so there was kind of a discussion of 2 avenues to go here. We had some members of the committee that were like, I want 1, but plus a little more, like adding on
Yeah.
the roof So, and then other people are like, let's start with 2 and pare it down, because everyone felt that 2 is too much and 1 just doesn't make the best value for our money. We would just be putting Band-Aids on things.
Yeah.
And so that's the work of the committee now, is to end up between the 2 in a tight manner as possible. So it would be great if timing worked out really well for us to use some of that space, either at the community center, or if the senior center moves over in enough time for us to occupy the senior center so we wouldn't have to rent space. That would take $1 million out of the budget.
Yeah.
Things like that we can tighten up around. And more of that will come out in the next phase as they design more of it.
Right.
Because some of it, if you watch some of the meetings, talk about like that's a placeholder for something, because that part of it actually hasn't been designed yet.
Right.
So that's where we can kind of really focus on tightening as much as we can.
Yeah.
That was a large part of the discussion, is that we are very concerned about the impact of the community center, senior center project, for as great of a project it is. It definitely is going to impact our project, and the timing of it is very unfortunate.
Yes. Or are there pieces of this that can be addressed through fundraising?
Potentially.
I know for the previous version, we were planning to do what's called furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Right.
Working with the foundation. And I have to dig out the numbers. That's a noticeable chunk of change. And I imagine we want to work with the foundation to do that. We could certainly talk to the foundation about other aspects of it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's, like Mary said, a lot of us, I actually said, main thing is for what we do to pass.
Right.
So,
Correct.
so I have heard some opposition from residents already to attacking anything on the scenario 1, but we'll just not see. The other point I will make is that at this point it's all lines on paper.
Right.
And it's, if for whatever reason the community decides we're spending too much and we just realize that between now and March, we can take some out. It gets harder as you get further down. If you have a deeply detailed design where you priced everything out, you spend a substantial chunk of change for that work. I'd be a lot more hesitant to take something out. But, and of course, once you start building, then it gets really expensive.
And is there a way for us to figure out what people are willing to, how much people are willing to pay before March?
Um,
So there is a public engagement piece that happens between now and March.
Well, we can get leads on it. You know, we can do the public engagement, we can put out surveys. The problem is those things only capture the people who are really interested. And they'll be really interested, some are really interested for, some of them are really interested against. But if we have 500 people at town meeting like we did last week, we're not going to hear from all 500 of them. So I think we won't know until the vote happens. But there are some members of the community who are vocally opposed to spending anything. So
That is true.
Is there a consideration of what happens if it does go down?
we haven't written that up. It would really leave the library in a decaying condition. And in the long run, it would lead, I think, to choice either closing the library because it was no longer habitable, or doing a lot of piecemeal things that would add up over the course of 5 years to much more than we would spend with it.
And I think that's more the direction that we're going, is that unless something catastrophic fails, like the elevator, and then if we're not accessible on the second floor and then we can't open, we would be then looking at a piecemeal project of repairs over time. You know, we're replacing the fan coil because that caught on fire. It would be a series for the next several years of just replacing things as they come up, and as we know in municipal construction, that is not the most cost-effective way to repair anything or spend our money in town. So we're really
at some point also, a lot of the cost of this, it's divided into a bunch of small chunks to come to ADA compliance, and then come to compliance with the electrical code and the plumbing code and the structural codes and just code that. And there's a lot of outlay. Just one example. a building this size, according to code, should have 5 bathrooms. And that 5 publicly accessible bathrooms, the staff bathrooms wouldn't count for that. So, and all that adds up. You know, and some residents have proposed trying to do just a little at a time to stay under that. We don't like that idea. First off, they were specifically talking about the ADA compliance, the residents. But first off, the amount of money you can spend to do that is tiny compared to what we need. You know, not compared to an individual home, but for the cost of public construction. So it would basically mean we wouldn't do anything. And like, sooner or later, something's going to fail catastrophically. And it's hard to say what, hard to say when. We'd be doing all we could to stop that.
But we really don't want to get into a situation where we have to do it piecemeal and then something catastrophic goes that triggers that immediately and then everything gets put on hold as they've seen over at Hastings until the ADA gets taken care of. And then we have to then start taking care of the fixes. So we're trying to work really hard to get this as tight as possible to do a cohesive repair project so that we don't have to do it all the time and accidentally trigger that immediately happening. But the problem going down that road is you don't know when things are going to break. I mean, we had a town meeting vote, and 1 week later the ceiling caught on fire. No one could have predicted that. So we're trying to get this as tight as a budget as possible, yet including everything that we know is on the repair list in the next 5 to 10 years so that we don't fall into that situation, but getting it as tight as possible.
And I would encourage all of you to zoom in on the meetings are on Zoom, come in the public and tell us what you think. Trustees, you gets us through this also. I'm going to see if I may change something briefly. As you probably know, the library staff has been upgrading the building repair project section of the webpage. All the information is on there, the costs and stuff, the cost spreadsheets have been uploaded. So if anyone's interested in the details and the nitty-gritties and all, there it is. I would encourage the trustees in particular to look at that. If you see something that you don't like, let us know. Usability issues, incorrect information, typos, whatever. And let us know or let Maureen know and we'll get to the rate.
Yeah. I have some things I can tell you.
Okay. Great.
So.
And your next meeting is?
Next meeting is late October, right?
October 25th? No, sorry, 25th.
No, that's right, it is October. It's already late October, sorry.
We just had one on the 20th.
Yeah, that's
So
why I had
our
October
one's
25th
not
in
until-
the green.
Is it November?
I don't think we set the date. We got that vote done and,
Yeah. It's usually the last Tuesday of the month, which would be November 28th.
right. And that's after the Thanksgiving break. Yeah, so I would think that's what it would be.
At 3:30. On Zoom.
Okay, I'll need to circulate something to the group. And,
Yeah. I forgot we
actually do
moved
that.
that. We moved it up to stay in line, to make that decision,
Yeah.
to stay in line with our timeline for construction.
Yeah, I guess my final comment on it, which I feel like I'm just preaching to the choir because we're all on the same page with it, is just what you said, like we want something that's gonna pass. So, we want it to be really tight, so like tighten and then tighten more and then tighten more, because if it doesn't pass, there's no point. So, just we want to do what needs to be done, but really, that's it. That's all we can do at this point. Unfortunately, I mean, I want to do it all,
Exactly.
but I want to do what passes.
But it's more important to get it passed and get things fixed so we can stay open and operational,
Yeah.
because we're not serving anyone if we're closed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about the building project? I think that's all I've got.
Terrific, thank you. Any other building or building committee issues in general? Everything good here so far? No? Building wise?
Building wise, we finally got a mason, so
Okay.
you can see that our new bubbler is hooked up, but we need to have the electrician come in one more time to make it fully operational. We're super psyched, and this guy was so good, he's going to try and fix our frost heave in the entrance to Parkman
Oh,
Street
terrific.
so that the
Super.
handicap door can open and close.
Lovely.
So,
How did you find it?
I'm going to say that I found him on the app Thumbtack, which I've used at home, and it's great.
Awesome.
I mean, of course, I have 50 million people calling me, but this guy's really good, so.
Oh, great. I'm so happy to hear that.
Any timeline of when it will actually be operational now?
He is supposed to come, Paul Casello is our in-house electrician, he's
Okay.
there all the time, but he's also retired, so he kind of comes when he
So
can. So we're hoping that he'll be here this week. We were super excited to have it, actually.
That's
There. Finally.
Excellent. All right. That brings us up to the fiscal year 2025 budget preliminary discussion. Gwen, I'm going to turn that over to you.
All right, so I only printed out the summary page, which is the last one, because these are all preliminary. Under the salaries.
Hold on a second. We're looking at this one.
This is the one.
This one is our monthly budget.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this one. Okay.
All right, so anything that is in pink is a change. In the salaries, we're requesting a level increase in the department head. In the assistant director position, we've created and we've approved the Sarah Cunningham's role as the marketing coordinator. And that included a raise for her. And so that is what you see reflected in what is called the program improvement request. That's something that Maureen has to fill out for new positions. Under the dues and membership, we've included ALA membership for staff member. And in the miscellaneous service computer, that includes, there was a budget error this year regarding our I can't think of the word for it, our allotment to CW Mars, what our fee was for the year.
Yeah.
So there was an error, so we're basically correcting that error and adding in percentage increases for any of our software for FY.
So are those programmatic things, would those be one-time increases, or I would imagine the salary is going to be folded into next year?
That will be folded into next year.
Okay.
So it's like one big bump and then folded in. And then the 5243C, that's basically a correction over this year.
Mhm.
And then going forward, it would be a slight increase year over year. And then, so because of the increases in the salaries, we had to increase slightly our supplies and materials so that we could remain a certified library.
Right. So those are those green,
In the
those
green.
three green highlighted sections are what's required by the state to be a certain percentage over our budget so that we remain at certification, which allows us to get state aid and funding.
Yes, so
So
we end up
that's
getting
why we want the certification. So it's very important for us to keep those three budget lines in the correct percentage so that we get our certification and then we receive state aid. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So that's, if I did the math right, a 5.5% increase in salaries without the program improvement request, and a 6.1% increase overall without the program improvement request. And then it totals a 9% increase with everything. But how does that compare with, do you know what the rest of the other town departments are going to ask for?
They didn't give us any guidance.
Ah.
Usually they'll say we're looking for less than X percent or what have you. They haven't done that. We've been pretty flat year over year, and I think this year with our new position and the salary requests, those have been long coming. So
Mhm.
I think Maureen has justification going into talks. Of course, they're gonna wanna cut something, so,
Of course they are.
so we're just,
Are they
Gonna make
come
our
out
ask.
later with a percentage goal, you think, or?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
think they can't really, because they've asked for our budget, we gave it to them.
Right.
And then
Right.
say, well,
Yeah, okay.
go back, so. We can see how it fesses out.
Yeah, I think that'll come in the meeting when we sit down and go over a budget with them directly. And they'll say, where can you tighten this budget?
Right.
We'll say, not in these highlighted areas. All right. Any other questions about preliminary budget for next year?
When is it submitted to?
It's due November 1st.
Okay.
Looks good to me. Great, thank you so much. Nope. All right. Next up, we have November/December holiday schedule changes or closings. Is that
Okay,
time of year?
Yes, it's that time of year. So November stays current. The town has, I don't know when they enacted it, but they close at 12 o'clock on the day before Thanksgiving,
Wednesday, the 22nd.
Wednesday the 22nd. And then we close the 23rd and the 24th, and then we reopen on the Saturday of Thanksgiving. So that's pretty standard. What we're asking for, and it's a matter of staffing, is for, because of the way the holidays fall for December, that we're closed 23, 24, 25, and 30, 31, and 1. So it would be 2 weekends of December that we would close.
Can you see this all one more time? Close it Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
At noon,
At noon, and reopen when?
the Saturday, the
25th.
25th.
And then you're asking for when?
In December, to be closed the 23rd, 24th, 25th, so that'll be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then the 30th, 31st, and 1st.
What days of the week are those?
Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
They both are.
yeah. It's just the way the holidays fall this year.
So anybody have any concerns, questions?
Do you remember what we did last year?
We did the same thing last year? Yeah.
Yep. I'm fine with that. It's consistent. I believe that is something we need to take a vote on.
Yes, you do.
Yes. So, I'll take a motion from someone to amend those calendar closings. So, okay,
Second.
seconded by Jim. All in favor? Happy holidays. Okay. That next one brings us up to patron request for lighted crosswalk. So Maureen has had several requests, staff have had several requests from patrons to see if the town can install flashing crosswalk lights at Parkman and West Main. There's already a crosswalk there, but they'd like to have lights now as we're all parking on the street. And so Maureen, this would be something that we would need to make a request coordinated through the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So I think I'd like to hear people's opinions on whether or not you think we should make that request. And if so, then I'm gonna ask for a trustee to lead that. What's your thoughts?
What is a light crosswalk?
You know when you push the light and
Oh,
it flashes
okay.
that someone wants to
I thought
cross?
it meant illuminating things, like, oh, I would love that.
Wouldn't it be great if we asked we lost it, lit up the campus?
Is there already one?
There's one, no, it's down at Town Hall.
Is there a reason if it's something that patrons are interested in, is there a reason we would want to support that?
I don't see a reason.
My thought is, any traffic safety is traffic safety.
Yep. Yep.
Is there one on Church Street?
Yes.
Already, there already is one there, okay.
There's one. There's not from here plus Park.
Okay.
So that is something that could come up, but there isn't one.
So there's
one.
where are they?
There's one right here on the corner of the Church Street
Main Church.
across Main. And I believe there's one in front of Town Hall, is that right?
Yes.
Well, what there's not is one going across Parkman this way.
Oh, it's where
So
it's
it's not
Center
across
Street.
So we do want to, yeah,
So the people that have
I think they want to go across Main Street.
Main Street, Parkman,
Main Street,
at Parkman.
Yeah, across, because
Across.
Parkman's easy to get across.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be 3 in a row, kind of.
But I think that it's really important, and only because I was the most hit by a policeman who was like looking at his thing and flying out of there. I'm like, hello. I think people look both ways and think they can just pull out and the crosswalk is right there.
And I wholeheartedly agree, because when cars are parked, you can't see someone,
Right.
like when cars are parked, you
Right.
can't see someone stepping into,
True.
even though they're already in the crosswalk, they have to step in front of the car to be seen. So I think it's,
It would
makes
also
sense.
benefit not just the library, but it would also benefit the Forbes building.
Correct.
It's not.
Everything is locked down.
Yeah.
Sure.
That makes it easier for people to get to and from the library. It's a good thing.
Easier and safer, yeah.
Yes, easier and safer.
And then can I have a trustee volunteer that can coordinate reaching out to the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee to see, that would be great, see what our next steps are and how we can go forward with that. Thank you.
Who is it, the bike and pedestrian?
The Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Who is going to do that?
Julia.
Thank you.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Mayor, do we have a public forum? I noticed it's not on the agenda.
We do not have a public forum on the agenda today.
Okay.
The next up is the open items list. I do not have access to it
I do
online,
not have access to it either.
but I can, yeah.
Put it in there.
It's in there, but it says it's locked, you have to ask.
And I don't know why, last time we opened it up, like she
Right.
unlocked it, and I don't know how it got locked again.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can report that I invited Maureen Johnson to our November meeting as a
That
foundation.
is so strange.
I know, right? We unlocked it in the last meeting and now it's locked again.
Huh. Trying to figure out what to do about that. Well, I'm just going to read to you what's on there.
Oh, great.
There's only 3 items on there.
Perfect, go for it.
There's invite foundation to October meeting.
It's a November meeting,
Okay, cool. I'm gonna change that right now.
and you can check that done.
I can check it done?
Yes.
Okay. Quarterly newsletter, submit info quarterly on status of the repair project, among other items. Ongoing.
Ongoing.
Verify safety of bird display, which reminds me, in all seriousness, with whatever's, I mean, it might be ahead of things, but hopefully when library repairs are done, I'm thinking about moving the contents of the library. Do we have to take special precautions with the bird display?
Well, so it kind of got put on like hold because we were thinking that the library like would be a whole thing. But yeah, now I do think we actually
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
figure out
I'm
what to
thinking
do.
what's gonna happen with the bird display. I don't want to cause new
Yeah.
safety
Last time we
issues with
did
the bird display.
investigate that, it was recommended we do not touch it. We do not touch it, we do not move it,
So
we do
does
not displace it.
Bird
We
display
just
stay
leave.
wherever
Yes,
we
yeah.
do,
I
whatever.
mean, can you cover
I think it would be unwise to ask the contractor to not touch that.
Right, like I don't think they can not touch it because any repair project would do work on the elevator, which is right next to it.
I think,
I think we need to
we're
figure
gonna have to bite that bullet. and find out
what to do with the bird display.
Okay.
So for those that don't know the history of the bird display is downstairs on the first floor outside the elevator, and it's a taxidermied display that was donated very thoughtfully to the library of local birds. And it has been there for many years, beyond any of our knowledge, so it's been there a long time. And the discussion was brought up like, hey, if we move that, should we be concerned about what chemicals were used to preserve the birds way back when it was done? And so we don't know the answer to that, but as this repair project is moving forward, we definitely need to research what to do with the bird display. And yeah, the advice was don't touch it, so we haven't touched it, but now if we visit it, we're gonna have to touch it.
Someone, and
It was a personal connection.
Yeah, it was a personal connection, I believe it was Helena, who knew someone, the historical commission or some, who had said,
Is there a natural history?
Harvard has a natural history.
Yeah, there's gotta be some museum that will help us with this.
Yeah, I mean, I know one in New York, I could call, but that would be New York, and I don't know the regulations of government.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
that part
idea.
of New York, they don't pay attention to rules anyways.
Can send
Does
that
that
over.
it may introduce its own, I hate to say costs, it might.
I know.
It's,
But it's definitely, it's part of the library, and so if it needs to be moved, we need to find out the right way to do it, because we don't want to put anybody in harm's way and accidentally expose them to.
That's another one of those catastrophic failures.
display.
Yeah.
Don't break the bird display, it would be a bad plan.
And that's it on our open items. Were there any open items from tonight that I needed to add? Other than to figure out how to share the open items list more effectively?
You're not sure about that.
So-
Also, the trustee testimonies to Caitlin
Yes.
for legislative hearing. Also in that legislative piece is the ebooks, isn't it?
Yes.
So piece of that legislation is wording in legislation that would make fair pricing for public libraries to purchase ebooks. Because an example that was given this weekend at the conference I was at is that you go to purchase Harry Potter, it might be $14 to us, but for the library it would be, and we own it for a lifetime, but the library we might charge $55 and it has an expiration on it and we have to repurchase that every 2 years or so. So it handles fair pricing for ebooks.
I've been actually wondering about that. The treasurer signed all the invoices and the overdrive things.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's
Really
crazy.
wild.
It is.
It's super popular, it's
Yeah.
very convenient for so many people, but it's really expensive.
Yeah,
And I don't think people realize that they expire and that we have to
yeah,
repurchase
it's
them.
either a time or you get X number of checkouts.
Right. Number of checkouts.
Yeah, right.
It's wild.
Is that why when you're looking at, say, Libby or one of the digital libraries, they tell you if you want some book and it becomes obscure, you can only get this if your library purchases
Yes,
additional copies?
yes.
And they don't mean paper copies, they
Right.
mean
The
digital copies.
A
Yeah.
license to distribute the digital thing, yeah.
It's also why sometimes you can go on and it says like, you know, when you're expected to get it, if you're on hold, but it's like
54 you
9,000 weeks away.
Yeah,
Because, you know, they
Yeah.
calculate out how many people are on the waiting list, how many days that it gets borrowed, and that's how far out you are on the waiting list.
And if you're looking at something like it's in a series and the series isn't running anymore 2 months,
Was there something to put on here about that?
That's part of the legislation that we are sending testimony in
Oh,
to Caitlin.
so what are the, I missed that. So what are the topics for the testimony then?
So there are two things.
Right.
The first is about censorship,
Right.
book banning, and then the second thing is equity in ebooks.
Okay, equity in ebooks. And is there a due date for that?
Monday. Well, up
Well,
to.
Monday is the hearing if
hearing.
you want to participate in person, or 2 weeks after they'll accept written,
So the hearing
Materials.
is.
the 30th.
Okay.
You want to send that
And
out to
this, I
everybody?
thought she sent it to everyone.
I got, does this sound familiar? No, she didn't send it out to everyone. She
Okay.
sent it out to me. I will send it to everybody.
Okay, I thought she sent it to
Maureen,
everyone.
this is what you're, okay, so,
I'm gonna put hearing 10:30, and I'm also gonna write in remarks, see email. How's that?
the email for Mary, who's gonna do it right now.
But this isn't gonna help you all if you can't see the open items list, so
True.
I'm gonna figure that out.
That's okay.
So Mary's sending the
make a personal
email.
note.
If you have any questions, contact Caitlin. She's back.
Oh, she is?
She is. She came back on Monday.
One second, I'll just. Great. Okay, perfect. Yep, that's all I have for the open items list. Love being ahead of schedule. Okay, that brings us to the secretary's report, approval of August minutes.
The minutes I'm looking at are from September.
I think our agenda, it's an error in our agenda, we already approved the August and September. And that is what was in the drive. All looked good to me. Does anybody have any minutes or recommendations?
Make a motion to approve the September minutes as written.
Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor of accepting minutes as written?
I'm abstaining, I wasn't there.
And it's abstaining, fabulous. We still have four. Great. Next up would be our treasurer's report, approval of the September. That's highlighted version.
We are right on track.
Excellent.
Everything.
Good.
We do have a repair in our HVAC system. There's a motor in the basement that is glowing apparently. And will be replaced to the tune of about $5,500.
Oh.
It is not budgeted for this year. We have asked for payment of that, but I think they want us to spend our budget first and then go to finance committee.
Okay.
So
So is that reflected on there?
it is not reflected, we have not paid it yet, but the work is scheduled for next week.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what it was.
It's a motor that's part of our HVAC system.
And how much would that be?
$5,500.
There was some expense, another unanticipated expense that you talked to the FinCom about getting.
That was the one.
That was it? Okay.
Yeah, the fan unit, the one that caught fire, is going to be paid for from insurance.
Okay.
We have a
That's different than this
And,
one.
but we have to pay $1,000 deductible.
Yeah, that is different than
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And that's why the
Insurance.
tax system is.
Yeah.
Exactly, because all these parts are well beyond end of life.
Yes.
And we've gotten every use out of them possible. So
Did I say earlier that not, if we stay with gas, we might get to 5 to years?
Yeah,
I retract that.
yeah.
Jeez.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about the treasurer's report?
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we do not have a, would you have a friends? update?
I don't have a friend.
I don't have a friends update either, and Milton Foundation. Agenda items for next month's meeting. Do we have anything to do? Maybe follow up on bird display.
What is the date of our next meeting?
The next meeting is November 15th. So we moved that last meeting, we moved that up to avoid Thanksgiving. And then potentially a follow-up on the crosswalk.
Well, there's Danvers, is that Danvers one? Is that, so I might not be able to,
Oh,
I
no.
can't attend the.
Karen, will you be in that night? Because I will not be in that night either. I'll be in
So I can't either.
I have to check, I'm 99% sure, yes.
Does anyone else think they have a conflict with the 15th? It is a Wednesday night. Thank you for mentioning that. Love that.
It's my first non-band rock.
Many
years.
I'll have an extra ticket if you want to come back.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time.
Okay, great. So Karen will run that meeting. We'll keep it on schedule. If anything comes up, since we already know 2 of us won't be here, just let us know as we get closer. We can keep an eye on having quorum.
It's a little iffy for me.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I don't think there will be any significant developments from the building fund, because we're not expecting feedback from the architect until our meeting on the 28th or whatever.
Okay.
I think I might be a little late.
Okay. All right. That still leaves 5. Still leaves 5. So, if you are one of those 5s, let me know if you're not going to be at that meeting, and then we'll look at changing the date. Future reference, so that everyone knows, like if we don't have a quorum, we can still hold the meeting, we just can't take any action on items or have any votes. So, It's definitely more helpful to me that.
So do we know any agenda items for next month?
Follow up on the bird display, and potentially, Julie, if you get an update, you can just email us and we'll update it that way for the crosswalk. Next steps on the crosswalk, so I'd love to get that going as soon as possible.
Do we know is there somebody volunteered to look into the bird display where you can?
I'll do it. I'll send it to her.
Would the Historical Society have any note in that, I wonder?
I don't know.
Chris Allen has a,
That might have been who she reached out to,
Right.
because he has a lot of contacts. Yes.
She probably knew
Yeah.
this and that.
But,
Bird display.
yeah. On the other hand,
Lee,
what's
Lee would
actually
know.
in there is a whole different,
We have no idea.
and what's in there now,
He
50 years
does
later, is a whole different question. That's,
and Linda Rita takes care of the little fairy
Fairy
things
garden,
down there. And she's kind of touched on the history of a lot of things.
Okay. I will include them all, and we'll see if anyone can give us some information on
Yeah.
taxidermy and bird display chemicals.
you know, you can probably just ping LPA and see if they can, if they will have, they will work with hazardous waste people to get rid of asbestos and lead and stuff from their buildings.
Okay.
So,
And like I feel like we can't be the first people to have a taxidermy display that we don't know the history of, so
yeah.
hopefully someone can help us.
Mary, do you want me to take that?
Yeah, if you want to, that would be
There's a
good.
whole bunch of stuff.
So you're gonna investigate that one?
Yeah, I will
Thank
get it, I will at least ping LPA. So
Yeah, and I'll pay on that, I'll pay on this.
I'm educated as a chemist, so I can talk a little bit of that language anyway.
So you're gonna find out about bird display, but you're gonna check it out then?
I'll take finding out about bird display.
Okay, you're gonna take it all. Okay.
Fabulous. I will send you this list.
Which is not to say that I'm gonna move it into my house.
No. I don't recommend anyone taking ownership of the bird display at this point.
And we have no idea how old it is.
I think it's upwards of 50 years. If you look at, I think
Predates the edition.
Yeah, there's a date,
It's got a-
oh, there's a date on it, I'm not sure if that's the date it was donated or the date it was made. We'll take a look on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah.
The first thing that comes up is the dangerous boat taxidermy, Western Mass.
I mean, you go down, I've gone down the rabbit hole of looking into the dangers of taxidermy displays. So, don't touch the bird display. All right, I love when we are ahead of schedule. It is 8:07. I have nothing else on my agenda. Does anyone else have any other trustee issues? I do. Go right ahead.
We want to congratulate you
Oh,
as trustee of the year.
Thank you
And
so
that
much.
is super.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that was exciting. I appreciate Maureen nominating you for the MLA Massachusetts Trustee of the Year. That was super exciting. Maureen and I went to the conference in Shrewsbury on Saturday. They did a lovely job. And lo and behold, she told me we were going to give a little speech on something, and I'm sitting there like, Frank, when's our time to speak? And then they started talking about Trustee of the Year, and I'm like, oh, sounds really familiar. So I was very honored. I think it's not my credit, it's a credit to all of us because we all work really hard and you're all a pleasure to work with. So thank you for making my job easy. So apparently, because I won, we all get a membership to MLA this year. So Maureen is coordinating that, and that will go through December 2024. And they have so many resources available to us. So when we get that info, I encourage you to check out our website, and they have a lot of seminars and stuff on Zoom that we can help educate ourselves. So it's exciting. It's exciting to bring a little notary to all the work we're doing here in Westborough.
I love
So
her.
thank you very much.
Did everyone read the letter too?
Oh,
That-
wonderful.
What did you cry?
I was like, Maureen? She said, just
So deserving though, Mary, like,
thank you.
You said it was all of us, but you write letters to people that I could not even conceive of.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to work here. That's been great. Excellent. All right.
Did everybody sign this?
Yes. Did everyone get a chance to sign up? Okay. Fantastic. Then it's 8:09, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thanks, everybody.